just some high-level context around what Klevr Members is. So at Walker Scott, Klevr is the name for our umbrella term for all of the products that we have here. Now we have a pretty wide range of Klevr products, as you can see on screen. We have our grants product, our contracts, the portal product. We also have recently released a Klevr fundraising product that we're really excited about. And then the focus of today's demo is obviously the Klevr Members space. Now, what all of the Klevr products are is essentially they are solutions built on top of Microsoft CRM platform. So it gives you that out-of-the-box capabilities specific, that it can be industry specific, but on top of the really powerful Microsoft platform, which allows things like native integration with some of the native applications and other things like that. And so today we're going to be focusing on the Klevr Members application. And so we're going to jump straight into the demonstration now. So this is our first look at a Klevr Members portal. Now this is actually a live portal that is out there. It's been implemented. It's been implemented, I think went live a couple of years ago, but we wanted to show you this because it's a nice look and feel as to how the portal can be tailored to represent the look and feel of your organization. So we're going to use the out-of-the-box branding during today's session, but we want to make sure that that you had a good understanding of how the portal can look once it has some of your organization's industry and branding colors done as well. Now, what the portal is and how it hangs together is the portal is essentially another presentation layer of all the data that exists within your CRM. So everything that's hosted and exists within your CRM is then displayed through the portal, obviously really tightly controlled in terms of the security permissions and roles that can be applied to it, because it is data that goes live, but it allows you to present your CRM data to external stakeholders, and it unlocks a lot of the functionality and features that you have within your Klevr Members product, puts that or presents that through the portal, and allows things like self-service management in the portal where users can log in and they can update information about the organization that they belong to. They can update their contact information, submit membership applications, and also update things on their membership records, such as CPD entries. Some of those things we're going to cover off today. One really important point about the portal, however, is that the portal has the ability to represent any of the data within your CRM. So as we know, one of the really strong points around Microsoft is that it is platform-based. It's not siloed databases for the different functionality that you have. So let's say that you also were leveraging Microsoft's first-party marketing application, and let's say you had some capabilities around the event space there. You can also expose that capability directly through your portal as well. And you can allow external stakeholders to view events and register for those events through the same portal using the same underlying technology, with just a tiny bit of config on the portal side of things, all out of the box, and absolutely no code required to unlock that capability. So it gives you a really good base, a really good fundamental once you have this infrastructure in play to continue to expand on the capabilities that your portal presents and the kind of functionality that external internal stakeholders can leverage through the portal once it is displayed there. So I'm just going to jump across into the portal that we're going to be looking at today. So this is a portal that's been spun up for today's session. Here you can see within the portal, we have just our out-of-the-box branding, and we have a bunch of tabs across the top. Now these tabs will change based on the user that is logged in. So you can apply different web roles that will then control the kind of functionality and data that can be viewed by the person that's logged into the portal. We do have the ability to have both static and dynamic data that's presented through the portal. So here you can see, like in our Learn More section, we can have a Contact Us and About Us and Frequently Asked Questions area where users can log in and they can learn more about your organization. And that is static information, easily updated by the marketing team or whoever puts that information together. And then we also have the ability to pull that data that exists within your CRM and present that through the portal as well. So today, because we're talking about Klevr Members, the first area and the most important area for us is obviously this membership section. So within the membership area, I can see that I can look at the membership plans that are available to me as a potential member. I can see if I'm an applicant, I can view my application. If I'm an existing member, I can see my membership. Then I could also drop down and see potential membership benefits. And then you can also utilize the portal for payments, and we can expose invoices through the portal and also accept those payments through the Klevr portal as well. So I'm just going to select the membership plan area, and this is what we call a list page, but essentially this is going to display that live data that exists within your system. So when we go into the back end in a little bit and Devon runs you through the Klevr Members application, we're going to take a look at where this data resides. But this is pulling that data in real time from the system, which is really powerful because it means that it's always synchronized with your CRM. And it means that there's no potential errors that can happen where there's data that's not synchronized across, and potentially as I'm applying to a membership plan that is actually no longer live and I can't apply to that membership plan, that data is kept in real time. So I'll only ever see the data that your organization wants me to see through the portal, because you can control when it is published, and then it is published in real time to the portal itself. At the very beginning of this flow, though, we're going to have the application side of things. So as a user, I've logged into the portal. Let's say I've reviewed some of the information about the different membership plans that exist, and now I want to be jumping into the to my application record. So I'm just going to select the My Application, and what this is going to do, it's going to take me to an application record. At the top of the screen here, you can see what we call a progress visualization. So this tells me really quickly at what stage the application record is at in the process. So I can see if this record is in draft, submitted, might do an offer to a member, and then I can see if it's been completed or not. At the top, I can see some high-level information, including an application fee that might be associated with the membership application. And then scrolling down, I can see the membership application form. Now, this form is a really important piece, and forms are included within the Klevr products within the utilities. We call them Klevr forms. But essentially what this does is this gives you a really powerful form builder that exists within your CRM environment. So it's all the drag and drop capability that you would expect with a normal form builder. You can put these forms together quite simply, and then they're presented through the portal via configuration only, no code required. This gives us a ton of additional functionality within the form space. So we have all the different data types that you would expect. So I can have long text things here where I can enter some high-level information. So I'm looking to meet with like-minded people. I can select the membership plan that I want to join for. I can select the areas of interest. We have drop-downs where I can select how I heard about the organization. I can choose whether or not I want to consent to a newsletter with Boolean fields. We also have repeated panels, so I can just continue to add in areas of experience where I'm adding the Education Institute, and then I'm also uploading files. Really important to call out that due to the Microsoft platform, we have the ability to natively integrate with both SharePoint and Azure Blob Storage, which are really good options for cheaper and more flexible security permissions around where those documents are stored rather than storing them directly within the CRM. We also have signature types. And then at the end of the day, once my signature has been complete and I've submitted my form, I could save this as draft if I still have additional work to complete, or I could hit the Pay and Submit application, which is going to submit my application record. And importantly, the payment processing is out of the box compatible with Stripe. We definitely support other payment gateways as well. But submitting or clicking that button will offload me to Stripe. So I actually in real time will do my payment submission all through Stripe's iframe. So it's really important that our solution is PCI compliant, as no card details are ever entered into the solution. And then once my payment's been successfully made through Stripe, it will bump me back into, or send the payment success record back into the Klevr Members application, and it will kick off an automated flow to notify your organization's staff that a membership application has been submitted, and it can now be reviewed by internal staff, where they can review the application, potential eligibility criteria, and then they can migrate that over to a membership record once it's been completed. So at this point, I'm just going to hand over to Devon, who's going to give us our first look of the Klevr Members application.
Yep. So we're just going to jump into the internal system for the Klevr Members backend. So this will be where all the internal staff of the organization are working. As you can see here, we've landed on Richard's membership application. So this is where internally you can review membership applications. Depending on the business process, you might have this as an automated process where you don't actually have a review process in place and all memberships are automatically accepted. But in our case, we have the ability to review this here. What you'll see is you'll see some of the name and details that come through from that application, along with the total amount here. Really important to note this is part of the configuration. So Richard had a $50 application fee when he submitted his membership application, but organizations often will have an optional donation or something along with the membership application, which would also come through to this total amount here. You'll see this says paid, so it's been paid through the portal upon submission. And we can see that on the transaction tab of our application here. You'll see the attached payment. We also can see all the memberships associated with this application. So this is really important. Basically, it'll tie together all downstream memberships associated. So upon renewal, that keeps tying them back to the original application. So in this case, we've got 2 memberships here for Richard. One from our first year, which you'll see has expired, and then we've renewed this membership for the second year. So it just keeps it all in one place so you can review that in the future. And if I click into the membership specifically, it'll give me some membership details. Okay. Now we're on the membership record. So I clicked into the active membership. You can see that in the top right-hand corner here, we've got a active status. This is basically holds all the details associated with the specific membership, so not the application. This is the membership off the back of the application, along with the membership number. It is really important to note that the membership number will always stay the same as it's renewed, and you'll see there's now followed by a renewal number. So this is the second membership associated with that number, and then you get an extended number. This is really important because it keeps that number the same, and you'll always have an identifier back to the original membership, followed by the renewal number on the end of that. Okay. We have our primary member being Richard. This is there's 2 use cases here. One can be for an organization, so you could have an organization holding a membership, or you can have it to an individual. Okay, and then the membership contact in this case also Richard. But this is more used in the case of an organization. You'd have the specific person associated with that. We have our source. This came from online. This is a configurable field, so it might be from events, in-person event setup, over the phone. Any way of ingesting memberships for your organization. Good way of tracking and reporting how your memberships are coming about. Also followed by a description. This centerpiece is all about the plan details. So we've got our silver membership, followed by how much the membership plan is, and then how it renews. So you can have it renew to a different membership, or you can just have it continuously renewing to our silver membership, all via configuration, and then followed by the renewal amount. Over on the right, it's all the dates associated with this membership. So we've got our start date, what date the membership was accepted, followed by the renewal date, renewal reminder date, sorry. So this is a configurable date based on the plan, and we'll dive into that shortly. But basically what this field's going to do is on this date, an automated reminder is going to go out to this member to say, hey, your membership's coming up for renewal, and then allow them to action that. We have the actual end date of the renewal, so in this case, 12 months after the start date. And then we have a termination date. So again, configurable date. Essentially, it's basically a grace period, so the membership will stay active up until this date. If it's not renewed by this date here, then the membership will become inactive.
Just jump in and add one additional thing here. So obviously all this capability is embedded within the product and comes out of the box. But once again, one of the benefits of being on top of the Microsoft platform is the highly configurable nature, low code, typically no code at all required. So we can update all of the forms and views and fields that we're going to look at today so that they represent your organization. So if we need to change labels in some of these fields, if we need to move things around, if we need to add additional fields that are important for your organization to unlock the way that you do reporting or the way that your organization operates, then absolutely we can do that. And typically it's very small and easy changes to make those updates. We always expect that there's some amount of configuration on these forms that's going to be done during implementation, but we want to make sure that the key functionality is there and as much of that is mitigated as possible so that we can make that ROI for your organizations as good as possible.
Thanks, Richard. Just scrolling down to the bottom, we also are moving into what we have set up as entitlements for the plan. So basically by having this plan, Richard's entitled to 4 training course registrations, which is going to recur every year. And then we've got 2 once-off items for a t-shirt and a welcome pack, which he'll receive at the start of his first membership starting. Okay. Moving across the top, we have associated information with this membership. So the first one we'll jump into is our transactions. So this is going to hold any transactions associated with the membership. And in this case, we've just got our $75 invoice for the original plan. We have any CPD requirements that Richard touched on. So in the case of the silver membership, we're required to attend 5 conferences throughout over the plan, and this recurs every year that the membership is active. And at the bottom, we have a CPD record. So this is essentially where Richard has said that he's attended a conference, and that conference was worth 15 CPD points. All of those points and requirements are configurable depending on the plan, and certain events might be worth more points than others. It's also worth noting that you can set up how that scoring's done, whether it be hours, points for training, courses, etc., etc. So it's really, really flexible depending on the requirements for your organization, how you might use CPD.
Another really powerful use of Klevr utilities there. So one of the tabs at the top of the screen here is the approvals tab. Now that approvals tab can be used basically on every table in the system. So you might use the approvals tab when you have a renewal that's upcoming and potentially someone hasn't completed the CPD requirements that they need to. So maybe it goes through a conditional approval process based on what membership plan they're currently on, how far off meeting their CPD requirements they are. You can make sure that it goes through that approval step where those approval records are automatically generated for different users or groups of users set up within the system. However, you might also put that approval functionality on your individual CPD entries that Devon had on screen earlier. So as a user, based on the CPD type that I'm submitting, let's say that I've done self-guided learning for 2 hours, that might not need any approval. However, if I say that I've attended a conference that you've held, then you might say, okay, well, we're going to go back, we're going to check the attendance list, make sure that Richard did attend that conference and he was there for the entire time. And at that point, we'll make the approval, which will then move that record to a different status, and then it will then draw down on the amount of remaining CPD required hours that I have on my membership record. So just some really cool functionality and flexibility around how some of those Klevr utilities like approvals can be used in the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuing on across some of the data associated with the membership, we've got a members tab here. So in the use case where an organization is a member, to your organization, you can associate members with that. So that'd be all your internal staff, all the internal staff at that organization. So if we had organization ABC as a member, we would then see their list of staff applied to that membership. Okay. So it's just sort of just reiterating how flexible the membership platform can be in terms of individual memberships or organizational based memberships, catering for both.
And we will show a little of this back through the portal again in the future, but that's definitely an area that you can offload some of that administration effort as you can expose that through the portal, and you can then allow potentially administrators at those organizations where the organization itself is the member, but potentially they can only invite 5 of their staff members to be sub-members of that relationship, so they get special benefits based on the organization membership. You can expose that back through the portal. You can allow administrators at the organization side to handle that. Maybe there's another approval or there's another step, key notifications to individuals to see when updates are made to the different contacts that are members for an organization. But it's definitely something that you can offload, get rid of that email-based management of those individual members for an organization.
Spot on. We're just going to drill down now into the membership plan. So this is going to be the process of essentially setting up different memberships. So I can click on into my silver membership here. All right, so this is the framework of configuring all our different memberships that we have available as an organization. We've got the name, and then we've got our product structure, which is basically saying this is a bundle, rolling up a bunch of entitlements, and we've got a membership type with a description. This was the description that you saw surface through the portal when Richard was selecting his plan. Over on the right-hand side here, we've got our pricing details for this bundle, essentially for the membership. And then we've got how often this renews. So this is really important. We've got our renewal occurrence of weekly or monthly, and then we've got our interval of 12 months. So this is saying we've got essentially setting it up as an annual membership. But it does allow you to have the flexibility to configure weekly memberships, monthly memberships, or bi-monthly memberships, anything that works for your organization and the membership. The two fields under there, this is what I was talking about in terms of the configurations of the dates earlier when I was on the membership record. So the renewal reminder date is taking me how many days before my membership expiring is that notification going to go out to the user. And then the termination day is essentially that grace period we talked about. So after my membership ends, if there's not been a renewal within 90 days, then we would, then this process would end the membership. Okay. We're just going to jump into this inheritance tab over here. This is where we can configure the conference. This is where we can configure the CPD and entitlements. So in this list, and it might look a little bit familiar now, we've got our conference attendance, training course registration, t-shirts, and our welcome pack. So if we were to drill down into the conference attendance, you'll see some setup here around this being a CPD requirement or an entitlement. And this is where you can configure what benefits are received with that membership. Okay. We also have the memberships tab on the right here. This is going to show me all active memberships for this specific membership plan. Okay, so this list is showing me all of my active silver memberships at the moment. Additionally, from a high level, we can jump into the dashboard. So dashboards inside of CRM are fully configurable based on any of the data that you want to surface. In this dashboard here, we have our members dashboard showing active memberships broken down by gold, silver, and bronze memberships. And on the right-hand side, we have a list of active memberships. Okay. Really good opportunity where you can surface some more of those key data fields or any fields Richard was talking about earlier that are important to the organization, such as a use case might be surfacing a chart here which shows you the source type of your memberships, whether that be online, in person, or via the phone. From an overview, we can also look at our membership products. So here we can look at our 3 membership plans. So this is our gold, silver, and bronze membership. This is where you essentially the list page where you would configure all of your available membership plans and what those hold. This list here is our memberships list. So this is going to take us back to our overall view of our memberships and we'll see Richard's membership here, but this is the global view of all active memberships inside of the organization at the time.
Just to add on again here, if I can, Devon, really importantly, similar to the dashboards that Devon had on screen before, there's terminology within the CRM platform known as system views or user views. And there's also system dashboards or user dashboards, but essentially this unlocks the really powerful both dashboarding and list controls within the system, where on the top right of the screen here, you can see there's an edit columns and edit filters button. What that would allow me to do as a staff member is I can go in and I can change what this list looks like. So I can hit the edit columns and I can pull in additional columns or remove some columns that aren't really relevant to me. They don't show me information that's important to me. Those columns can also be individual columns from related records. So maybe I want to present something where I can see my active memberships, I can see the plan, and I can also see CPD requirements and some columns associated with that CPD requirements on the plan, on the membership plan. I can also do things like edit filters, which is really useful when you're trying to do things like manage by exception. So potentially I want to see all of the active memberships that have not completed their CPD requirements and their termination date is upcoming. So you can put those views together in the system. I can then, as an individual with a particular role, I might create that view for myself, and it's really helpful to me because it shows me information that's useful based on the tasks that I need to do at the organization. If there's other people that would also benefit from that, I can share that view with them. And if we decide it's actually really useful for everyone in the organization to be able to access that information, you can convert those views to then system views, which they'll then appear in the dropdown, and anyone can come in and access those views at any time. The same goes for those dashboards. So if there's some people that really like to play around with data and they're really good at visualizing data and gaining insights from the way they break it down, they can go wild with some of the dashboard capabilities in the system and put together those individual reports and look and views for them. And then they'd be able to share that around so that other people can benefit from their work of breaking down the data as well.
Thanks, Richard. And we're just going to pass back to Richard to show how some of the membership data is shown through the portal and how he can interact with the CPD requirements.
Thanks, Devon. Let me know when my screen is sharing again.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as you can see, I'm back in the portal view now. All I've done is I've gone to the membership and I've clicked on the My Membership record. And as you can see, I'm now seeing a lot of the data that Devon had within Klevr Members being presented to me through the portal. Once again, just like the backend is, the Klevr portal is all configuration. So absolutely zero code has been written for today's demonstration, and zero code is typically required when we're implementing these portals. If we need to change the layout and the fields and the labels and the different information that you want to present through your portal to your external stakeholders, then that's really easy to do. Very similar skill set to the actual Dynamics customer engagement environment. So if you do have any in-house capabilities around configuration of CE or CRMs, then typically that skill set translates really well to the portal. And at Walker Scott, we work with clients of all levels where we do everything. They come to us for all their support. And of course, we're more than happy to give them that support and work with them. And then we also have a lot of clients that kind of want to sit by us during the implementation and upskill, and then they can kind of take over and they'll use us for a bit of a peer review so they can take on a lot of the additional configuration and work in the future. Now at the top of the screen here, you can see some high-level membership details. And then as I scroll down, as mentioned before, a lot of the functionality that Devon covered off during his portion of today's demonstration is also exposed through the portal. And as a member, I might be able to interact with that either view only, or I might be able to also log in and enter additional things. So as I scroll down the page here, I can see my membership entitlements. So I can see all of the different entitlements that I've got. I can see the duration. So what this is telling me is when I signed up, I got a once-off t-shirt. When this renews, I'm not going to get another t-shirt, right? I got the t-shirt my one time. However, my training course registrations, I'm allowed to sign up for 4 of them as an entitlement of my membership. So I can go to 4 different training courses and I don't have to pay anything, as that's an entitlement based on the membership plan that I have. If, let's say, I only go to 3 in this year, this particular entitlement is going to roll over. So that one remaining training course registration is going to roll over to the next year, assuming I get my 4 in the next year as well, because I've renewed back onto the silver plan. I'll then actually have 5 that I can use in that subsequent year. So you can control how entitlements and CPD requirements will be treated as years go by and memberships are renewed based on this duration column here. As I'm continuing to, let's say I'm using my membership entitlements, I'll see this number drop down. So as the member or as the administrator for an organization, that's the member, I'll be able to see the usage of my membership entitlements and make sure that we're gaining the value from the membership with the organization that we want to, because that's the best way to drive future engagement. I can also see my CPD requirements. So here I can see I need to attend 5 different conferences. I can see that this is also going to recur across plan. So I need to make sure that I'm completing these. Otherwise, this is just going to continue to roll over and my CPD requirement debt is going to get bigger and bigger. But then here I can also see that I have CPD entries. So here I can see that I've attended one. We're going to take a look at what that conference event setup looked like. But here I can see that I've gone into the system, I've selected new, and then I can enter the CPD type. So it could be conference, online course, self-guided. You are completely in control of the different options that are here. and I can specify the number of points that I think that was worth. So let's say I did self-guided for 2 hours, I can enter that into the portal there, and it will automatically be written into your database and potentially go through that approval process based on the number of points and the type of CPD requirement. Additionally, as mentioned before, we have our invoices. So if you do want to offload the payment processing, if you want to throw it through the portal so you can send automated notifications out to individuals when there's a renewal of their membership, for example, the invoice can go in, they can receive that email, link them to the portal, they can log into the portal and they can make their payment directly here. I can see that I would be able to see the status update once I've made my payment. And as mentioned before, by leveraging some of the native integrations with payment processors, we ensure that your portal remains PCI compliant and just the updated payment record with some metadata like a tokenized version of the card gets written back into the database. And then we can make sure that successful payments are done in a nice, simple place. Once again, offloading a lot of that administration overhead of trying to chase invoice payments down. So that's it on the membership side. The next piece, we're going to skip events because we're going to end on events. The next area that I want to look at is the organization details. So if I move over to the organization details tab, what this is going to show me is just high-level information about my organization. So let's assume at this moment that the logged in user, Richard Gauntlet, is the administrator at Walker Scott, giving myself a bit of a promotion here. But here I can log in, and once again, by configuration only, you'll be able to decide what information you want to expose to your client admins or your member admins. So here I could change the name if I wanted to. You've allowed me to update that name. You've also allowed me to update my website and my email, but my account number, you're just displaying that to me. Now that might be important for me as a reference point if I need to send any communications about my membership or if I have any inquiries, but you don't want me to go in and update that information so you can control my read and write abilities really easy via the portal here. The other capability that we have is on the employees. So as Devon mentioned, or as Devon showed us back within Klevr Members, when an organization is the member, you might have multiple employees and you might want to dictate which one of those employees is allowed to draw down on the entitlements based on the organization's membership. So here I can come in and I can make updates to which employees I want related to my organization's membership. I have the same capabilities on my profile page. So if I select the profile page, it's going to take me to a page where I can then update my personal contact details. So here I can log in, I can edit things like my first, last name, my phone number, my email address, and then importantly, I also have the ability to update things like my payment method and my contact preferences. So here I can choose how I prefer your organization to contact me. So that's really high and quick overview of the Klevr Members. The next piece that we're going to talk to is a little bit around the platform approach. So we're going to move into the event space. So I'm just going to click into events. Now the events module is actually held within the marketing module, but because of the platform architecture, this gives us the ability to introduce new capabilities into your CRM without having any complexity around integrations because it goes onto that same database. Now here you can see in the upcoming events, I've kept it really simple. We just have the 1 July conference that is upcoming. I can select that. Once again, you have complete control over what information you want to expose through the portal. So I can log in and I can see that if I attend this event, it's going to give me 20 hours on my CPD points. I can get a description of the event, expected results. You might choose to expose, if you have sessions within your events, you might choose to expose the sessions and you can even present them in a calendar view through the portal. And then I have the ability to log in and I can do event registration. So here you can see I've signed myself up as an event attendee. If I select new based on my organization role, I might make another attendee and I can select some of the contacts that I've added as employees at my organization so that they will also be signed up to attend that event. Really importantly is the ability to charge payments. Once again, leveraging the same underlying architecture. You can add an amount field during event registration. And then as part of my registration, I can make sure that I'm paying that amount so that you're receiving those funds for event registrations based on the events that you're holding as an organization as well. Now, we're a little bit short in time, so I'm going to try to be really quick just to see, so we do have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. but I'm going to jump back into dynamics in the CRM, and I just want to bring your attention to the top left of the screen here. So this is what's known as the app selector, but here you can see it says Customer Insights Journeys, which is the new name for the marketing module within Microsoft Dynamics Customer Engagement. So within Customer Insights Journeys, it's a really powerful marketing platform. We could hold a whole webinar on this marketing platform, but I just want to focus on the event space today. So you can see I've dropped into the event planning area and I've set up my July conference. I can see where I've entered the CP details. So I've said it's 20 points and this is going towards the CPD type of conference. So it's going towards the conference type of CPD requirement that I need to complete based on my silver plan. You can see some key dates around the schedule of this. I could choose to stream this event online. Let's say it was an online training course that the organization was holding. Ton of capability around locations. You can have buildings on the left here. You can see building, rooms, layouts where you can enter things like capacity, and you can make sure that you're building out a library if you do host events at similar venues year after year. And then we have some key information that will be provided. So I can see the event name and the event type. As more individuals sign up for this event, I can see the registration count will go up. Once we're actually hosting the event, the check-in count will start to go up. And then I can easily pull this event URL if I want to use it on any social media posts or emails or communications. Just quickly scrolling across within the events area, you have that capability to build out your session calendar. So this is an event conference that's going to run over 2 days. And you can see that we have a bunch of sessions that have been loaded in that event attendees can sign up to. As we scroll down, you can see all of the session titles, so I can edit these sessions and change information about them. And then you can also have session tracks. So based on the number and the size of your event and the length, you might have track A and track B, where individuals might choose to go to track A based on who they are and what they're interested in. And then others might go to track B, and then they can attend different sessions within your event based on the track that they've chosen. There's also a ton of capability in the system around speakers. So I can have speakers that come in and I can host things like their speaker costs in the organization that they work for. And then you can also do a lot of work with sponsors. In this case, we can see that Walker Scott's helping sponsor this event. We've given them a sponsorship category of gold and the amount there. If I scroll over to our additional information, you can see some of the information that was being presented through the portal when we were reviewing it earlier. And then we can see the financials. So I can see the target revenue that we're hoping for this event. We can see the registration fee, which would be automatically applied to your event registration so that users that are registering via the portal can make sure they go in and they pay that amount. And then you can see a bunch of additional key financial information around where the costs are coming from and what the revenue from different things like sponsorship may be. There's a lot of capability around building event team members as well. So you can start to build in individual staff members that are helping events, even external stakeholders and volunteers that are helping out for events. Oftentimes members will actually be volunteers for events that organizations are hosting. So you can enter that into the system as well. So really quick look through all of that. I'm just going to jump back and present this on screen back on our PowerPoint. Now, definitely if there are any questions at this point, please enter them into the chat. I know we've presented quite a lot in quite a short amount of time, but we want to make sure that we show off as much of the product as possible. So this is the overall solution architecture that we're looking at here. So the really important bits here, if I can bring your attention to the Dataverse, that is the Microsoft special name for the database that underpins everything we've looked at today. So whether it's the portal, whether it's Klevr Members, whether it's the marketing platform, it really critical to understand that that all reads and writes directly from the same database. So all that information is always kept in sync. There's no complexity around integration and middleware required for this solution. It's all there. And also really importantly, because it's Microsoft, it's obviously aligned to the rest of Microsoft's platform and ecosystem. So you'll get things like native integration with Teams and Outlook, which we haven't demonstrated today, but there's a ton of videos and content online about how useful that is and how I can work within Klevr Members and I can bring in Teams on the sidebar and I can have messages and basically use that first-party productivity application from within the CRM itself. And that's bi-directional. I can also be working within Teams and I can actually iframe in my CRM so that users and staff members can work in the applications that they want to work in. It also gives you that flexibility around things like SharePoint and Azure and data lake storage is all really easy because it's within the Microsoft ecosystem, and it's all really secure because it's all resides within your Azure tenancy. None of it's getting posted, or none of it needs to cross the internet to get into different areas. It all resides within your one area, one ecosystem, and one Azure security perimeter. Another area that we haven't talked about too much today is the process automation, but because Microsoft built, or the Common Dataverse sits within the Power Platform, you're going to be able to leverage all of the Power Automate. So if you're doing things like automated notifications or automated workflows where once an approval step happens, a status update happens to a record, potentially you approve an application, that should automatically create your membership record for you. That's all capable and all done via configuration without code based on that Power Automate and Power Platform capability. And then at the top, you have the presentation layer. So what we looked at today was Klevr apps. So we looked at the Klevr Members application. We looked at the first party application really quickly, which is marketing. We looked at our Klevr portal. And then we also have the native integration with Power BI, where you can easily use Power BI, which is a really powerful reporting tool across all the data that exists within your database.